forward now, and we're joined by the Western Cape Community Safety and Police Oversight MEC Anroux Marais. MEC, good evening to you. Thank you for your time. Let's start with gender-based violence and femicide. Recently, this was declared a disaster in the country by the president. What is the plan to try and fight this? And importantly, what is the contributing factor to its increase in your province?
Good evening, and thank you for having me here. You know, the president declared this a disaster, but we don't have the plan yet. And today, with our stats release event this morning, Advocate Bell of the public prosecution, our director for the public prosecution, she also gave us some insight in the prosecution of gender-based violence. And what is difficult for us is that, you know, the victim, if I can call it that, or the survivor, lay a charge and then withdraw it again. So it makes it very difficult for us. But I think, according to me, you know, our communities are really bleeding for the, you know, in a sense that it's gang-related violence. You know, it's some areas is unemployment, and then the gender, you know, the anxiety, and it also in the communities causes that there will be conflict, specifically in the homes, and it's very difficult to police this in the home. You cannot put a police officer in every home.
Yeah.
So we do have violence prevention programs that we look at the health and wellness, and DSD, our Department of Social Development, are very involved to see how we can resolve conflict in the home and heal our communities.
MEC, I take your point that this is possibly one of the most difficult crimes to police in the country as a whole, because this happens in the home environment when no one is looking or listening in some instances. So the criticism, though, that could be invited by your comment that suggests the Western Cape does not have a plan yet, people will say the National Strategic Plan to fight this was published back in the year 2020. Surely the Western Cape could borrow from that document in order to custom fit it to the Western Cape. Do you take that on board?
Yes, I do take that on board. And, you know, I must say that it's not that we don't have a plan. Our Department of Social Development rolled out the GBV ambassadors that's really on the ground and looking out for any form of conflict or that is related to GBV violence. But at this moment, we're waiting on a new regulations by the president to deal with GBV under the state of disaster. That's what I meant that we're waiting for. But we do have programs, and we're really looking into this phenomenon in our areas. And we also have our Thembisile care centers where we work very closely with SAPs, as well as I've said, with DSD specifically, and NGOs in this sector.
Yeah. Let's talk then about taxi violence. It's among the crime trends that have been listed for the spike in crime, particularly contact crime. What is the plan there? And are you winning this fight, particularly to try and bring about peace within taxi associations?
Yeah, I must say that the Department of Mobility is actively engaging the taxi operators to change how they deal with conflict. And the taxi violence task team has been established to focus on taxi-related crime. We're slowly winning. At the moment, I must say it is quiet, and we will never give up hope. But for us, in many of the cases, the taxi operators are also involved in gang activity, and that makes it difficult for us. But as I've said, there's a task team that's looking into this, and we slowly but surely is winning the the taxi violence.
The last category is exactly what you've just mentioned, and surely it's a worrying factor if taxi violence also is linked to gang violence. That's a very difficult one for the police, and in particular the Western Cape region, to deal with. It's been an ongoing fight. Is there any hope in trying to make a dent there?
Yes, it is a difficult question, but we never will lose hope, specifically with POCS, our police oversight and community safety. We do have our LEAP officers, that is force multiplier to SAPS, and we do have hotspot areas, which is data and evidence-based, and we really have a decrease in the second quarter of 9.1% in the murders in these areas. But it is an ongoing fight. Gangsterism is embedded in our communities, but as I've said, we're really not going to give up hope. And then for us, our anti-gang unit, Professor Kachalia, the acting minister, does have a new national plan, and he will visit us in January so that we can look at it and incorporate it also in our safety plan for the province.
Gang violence, it has been said at some point that part of the reason it's become difficult to root out is that police themselves are a contributing factor to this, whether it be by providing guns to gangs or the porousness of the, well, it's not perhaps the porousness, but the route to feeding arms into the Western Cape is at times traced to Namibia, where the firearms used come from law enforcement in that country. Have you made any headway in trying to stem that? And is that indeed the reality, by the way?
I must say, I cannot say for sure that it is a reality, but with General Patekile, he also said this morning that we suspect that it comes from Namibia, and that they in engagements operational, as a politician, I don't get involved in the operations of how they're going to combat this influx of incoming of firearms. But the other thing is that it can also come from Angola. But at this moment, we're also working with the global initiative that said that the firearms is from Namibia. So we will look into that, and we've been at a cabinet meeting with the SAPS leadership to help them to see how we can work together to have roadblocks and to detect firearms that is coming through with in whichever anyhow they come in, so we can detect that. And the intelligence working hard on the infiltration of these supplying routes.
Yeah. The tenure of Western Cape Police Commissioner Thembisile Patekile, it's coming to an end soon. How would you describe his tenure as police commissioner, particularly in fighting exactly the crimes that we've just spoken about?
I must say, since I've been in this position, we've had a very good relationship. He is quiet but disciplined officer. And this morning I just looked at what he's saying in all his notes, that he's really working hard and trying his best with what he have. They're understaffed, but his tenure will come to an end in June 2026. But so far, so good. Sometimes it was very difficult to combat the crime, and that's why we took hands and help each other to make the Western Cape a safer place for that, so that people can feel safe in our province.
If you were to give him a mark out of 10, how would you say he's done?
It's a difficult one. I will give him about 6, 7 out of 10 at this moment in time.
Interesting. MEC, let's conclude the conversation then with something I found quite curious, but if you look back at the trend of the crimes that have happened or visited upon people who are stepping off the airport, getting into a vehicle, trying to make their way to their destination, they get caught up in crime, particularly smash and grab. Recently, a retired teacher understood to be coming from Bloemfontein lost her life because of a smash and grab incident. Now, there appears to be a proposal to build a 180 million rand security wall along the N2 near the airport. Yeah. Do you believe that this is the solution, and whose idea is this in the first place?
I know that it was a city initiative. It's from the city of Cape Town, and the mayor announced this wall that they're building. But more important for me, there was extra 40 law enforcement officers deployed to that route that coming in and out of the Cape Town airport. And also that's interesting that the city of Cape Town, Alderman J.B. Smith, they engaged previously with Google to get the best route from the city, from the airport into the city or wherever they want to go, so that this route don't take people through our hotspot or crime areas.
So as a lawmaker, you think this is a good idea and it will go a long way in stemming this kind of criminality?
Well, it is, I must say, it's difficult for me to say. We pray and hope that it will help. And I believe it will help us to get rid of this. It's terrible if you have tourists coming in and then they die on the road to their family. So it's also, you feel responsible for what's happening. So we will do everything in our way to get rid of this criminality.
Yeah. But the idea of the wall is a proposal that you would support as a lawmaker?
Yes, I think so. Yes, I will support that.
Thank you very much for your time. The MEC of Community Safety and Police Oversight in the Western Cape, Anroux Marais.